This morning we begin a series that will take us through January and February through the Beatitudes, through the 8 statements we just heard read. And there's a bit of background that we need to walk through, and the first piece is the text that you have in front of you. It's on the screen in front of you. Matthew is in a particular purpose in writing his gospel. All the gospel writers are telling the story of Jesus. Yes, they are. But they're telling the story of Jesus from a particular perspective, with a particular point of view. So just as if you were to go this morning and have bought the Globe and Mail and the National Post and have the same story being covered, you would get different perspectives about the same event. The same way, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John are telling stories of Jesus with a particular perspective and a particular point of view. And Matthew is telling the story of Jesus for those who are the serious. He assumes that his readers already have made a decision to follow Jesus Christ, have already made the commitment to be loyal to him. And so to the loyal, to the serious, to the committed, he writes his book. And in many ways, for those of us who remember back to those days when we memorized the catechism, Matthew is a catechism, it's a catechetical book. And this marker in Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 helps us see that. It says, when Jesus saw the crowds, everyone, the group around him, he went up the mountain. And after he sat down, his disciples came to him. And so at this point, this text, as we move into the Beatitudes, is for the disciples, for those who are closest to him, for those who are the serious. Yes, there are times in Matthew Jesus will speak to the crowd, but often he pulls away and speaks to the serious, to the disciples, to the committed. The passage before us in Matthew, the Beatitudes, is one of those texts. Can I have the next slide, please? There are a couple of things that we need to see before we actually dive into the text for this morning. And that is the interesting question, one of those is the interesting question of what does it mean to be blessed? There are two things we need to understand about being blessed. These statements, these Beatitudes, are not commands. They're not wishes. They are statements of fact. Jesus is saying that the poor in spirit are blessed. No ands, ifs, or buts. Those who mourn are blessed. Those who are meek are blessed. Those who are peacemakers are blessed. It is the status, it is the situation, it is the state, it is the fact. And so we have God blessed as a way to try to come at that. This is not happy. See, happy comes from the word happening, same roots. And happy is something that arises from a particular situation or a particular circumstance that we are in. And that changes from moment to moment. It is based on who we are and how we're responding to the moment. No, it's not happy. You may be happy and blessed. I'm not saying you can't be blessed and be happy. I'm not saying that. But this is much deeper than happy. This is, even in difficult times, even when moments don't look the way they should be, we are still blessed. By definition, if we are the poor in spirit or mourning, etc., etc., etc. The other thing to be seen here is that each of these comes with something after the comma. For theirs, in this case, blessed the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And with each of them, there is a statement about what those who are meek, they will inherit the earth. Those who are pure in heart will see God. We don't get the Greek structure here because we don't read the Greek. But when it says, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, the text is in fact saying only the poor in spirit. The kingdom of heaven is theirs alone. Those who are meek, who inherit the earth, only the meek will be those who inherit the earth. There's a hard edge here that we will explore as we walk through. But I want to leave that hard edge for the moment, and we'll come back to that later on in the sermon. So to the text for today. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. There are two words in Greek for poor, for people who are poor, in the New Testament Greek of Jesus' day. One of those words was for people who were poor, who were working hard and just scraping by and just making it. That was one word. A word we would use to describe what we would today call the working poor. And there's a second word in New Testament Greek for beggars, for those who do not have anything, for those who have nothing. And this is the word that's used here. Those who have nothing. So these are the people who are like the squeegee kids, the panhandlers, the transients who knock on our door here at St. Andrews, the ones who have nothing. Those who are poor in spirit, those who are beggars in spirit. Well, who might that be? What does that look like? I remember a conversation I had a number of years ago with some colleagues who want to rewrite the first lines of Amazing Grace. Just to remind you, the first lines of Amazing Grace go, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me." They were offended by the fact that they had to sing that they were wretches. They were not wretches, they said. And so they want to change it to be, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me." I think they missed the point. We are wretches. We are wretches. We are wretches before God. Paul says in Romans, "O wretched person that I am, the good I want to do, I do not do. And the evil I do not want to do, I do. O wretched person that I am." And how often have we walked those exact same words through our minds? We planned good. It was a good plan. It was going to be good for everyone. And then it blows up in our face and people misunderstand and it goes sideways so fast and it turns out really, really bad. Or we know we shouldn't do it. I mean, we just come through the 1st of January and New Year's resolutions, right? And all those promises we made, all those things we said we would not do anymore. And guess what? We've done them. That's only the 5th day of the year. Oh, wretched people that we are. We are not self-sufficient. We are not able to fix the messes that we are in. We are caught. And it's not just in relationship to our relationship to God that we are in this predicament. Because we are in the same predicament of thinking we are self-sufficient, self-made, carrying pride on our shoulder in our relationship with others. I cite the name of Donald Trump not to make a political statement, but I have to admit that in the last couple of days I have said to myself, what up, and I'm not going to use the words, and at that moment I'm exercising pride. At that moment I am saying I am better than, smarter than. I am acting with pride of spirit, not poverty of spirit. And that may be a dramatic example, but we do the same to lots of people around us. Those who don't think the way we do, how stupid are they? And Jesus, just a few chapters, just actually a chapter later in the Sermon on the Mount, is going to say, if you call your brother or sister an idiot, you're in danger of the fires of hell. That's pretty strong language. Pretty strong language. But poverty of spirit means recognizing not only before God are we righteous, Poverty of spirit means, as we remember from the passages we looked at this fall and from Philippians, to consider others as better than ourselves. Poor in spirit are those who are humble, lowly. From Philippians, we have the example of Jesus, that hymn section where he says that Jesus came and took on the form of a servant. Took on the form of a servant. Poor in spirit. We are invited to people who live that pattern, who recognize that we have nothing in ourselves. All we have is a gift God has given to us. Our best plans, our greatest works, are in fact things God has done in us. And our self-worth, our value as people, comes not from what we have in the bank or from what we have done with our lives. No, our greatest value, our self-worth, comes from this truth: that we are made by God the Father, loved by Jesus Christ, and strengthened by the Holy Spirit. That is our identity. That is who we are. And in the face of that, we live not by our strength, but by the promise of the triune God, who has made us, loved us, and strengthens us. We are invited to be among the poor in spirit. And as the poor in spirit, we have the statement that the kingdom of heaven is ours. The kingdom of heaven. That the world is becoming the place where God's reign will be fully revealed. That those who are poor in spirit are actually able to see the kingdom, to know its truth and power in their lives and around them. For as long as we think we're making it happen, for as long as we think that we are in control, we are unable to see what God is doing. Is when we recognize that we are nothing. To use Peterson's translation, when we have come to the end of our rope. In that moment, there's more room for God. A lot more room for God. We're invited beyond the people who live at the end of our rope. So there's room for God. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. And the problem with the story is it's about me. And given what I've just said, it's not a good thing. That's a joke. You're supposed to laugh. But I tell it nonetheless. It comes from General Assembly when I was the moderator in 2017. The Tuesday night had been an awful night. An awful night. People had said bad things, terrible things about each other. There was deep anger on the floor. I, as moderator, had not cut off people when they started insulting other people. It was bad. The evening ended with a young woman from Rwanda, who was a young adult representative, praying Kira Rwandan. I have no idea what she prayed because I don't speak Kira Rwandan, but it was quite clear that she was praying fire on the assembly. You could sense it in the way she prayed with passion and conviction. As I headed for my room, I was stopped twice by people who said, "So is there going to be an apology tomorrow?" And I said, "I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but something will happen." And when I said, "I don't know what's going to happen," I really meant that. I hadn't the foggiest clue. And the promise that something would happen, that was just words. I had no idea. And Debbie and my chaplain, Christina O'Reilly, and myself stayed up until 11:30 trying to figure out what to do the following day. And we had no good ideas. None. At 4:30, I was awakened. Now, looking back, I would now say it was the Holy Spirit who woke me up. But usually when I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I don't think it's the Holy Spirit. At 4:45, I couldn't get back to sleep, so I got up. I went to the computer to try to figure out what to do at 9:30 that morning when the assembly reconvened. The first part was easy. Last night was tough. Difficult things were said and we got bruised. This week has been tough, and many of us carry bruises from that. I invite all of us to give those bruises to God. As I said, that part was easy. I sat there then, looking at the screen, with no ideas about what to write next. Again, I say it's the Holy Spirit, not me. That's what happened, what I wrote. Last night, there were things said that I should have stopped. I should have stepped in. And for my failure to do so, I am sorry. Because I wasn't paying attention closely enough, I didn't notice when people were getting hurt. And for that, I am sorry. And I haven't followed the Jesus way being that if I have something against you, I should go to you directly and talk it out. Instead, I've talked behind your backs, some of you, to friends, and not gone to you face to face. I've not followed the Jesus way. I have offended you, and I'm sorry. I went on to say, I invite all of us in this place to think of those that we have hurt in those ways. And to right now go to those people and say we are sorry. I added, so this is passing the peace seriously. As I headed off the steps, off the stage and down the steps, I noticed a man who had been at loggerheads with another person in the assembly for the entire time get out of his chair and head directly to the person he'd been at loggerheads with. And that moment I realized this was not about me at all. The Holy Spirit was up to something. And I saw the first person I needed to see, and I got to the second person. There was a lineup to see that person. As I was standing in line, a person came to me and said, last night on Facebook, I disrespected you, I insulted you, and I'm sorry. I kept across, so I could see the person I needed to see, and they're coming down across the back of the assembly hall and coming up the other side. I saw men who I knew stood on opposite sides of the issue we had been debating, hugging. And someone told me afterwards that those two, he was convinced, this friend of mine was sitting at the table those two were at, and the night before he thought they were going to fight each other, and they were hugging each other. My parents, who watched the whole thing, all assembly on live stream, commented afterwards, yeah, we know it was the same people in the room on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. But they weren't the same people. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. When we stand recognizing our poverty of spirit, there is room for God to work. Beyond our imagining, there is room for